what date and time do we go live with early access?
That's a great question. Yeah, and we understand there's been a little bit of a confusion maybe in interpreting exactly our open date for early access. It's this Friday, February 15th at 9 a.m. Central Time. We can't wait to have everybody join us.
Yeah, and we will not be doing the translations, but if the sum of all the internet out there could
Google
turn
can help.
9 a.m. Central Time into all the other time zones of the world for people, that would be helpful. But it is a global launch at the same time for all regions, right?
Correct. Yeah, super excited.
Are we ready for Friday for early access?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, first off, I think we're ready. We're super excited about what we've got. I've said that several times, but if you look at this momentum that's been building with the development team as we've solved problems through the course of the demo weekends, you're seeing things come together really nicely. And wait a second, you're moving pretty quickly through. What's happening there? You're moving a little faster than
I'm showing Fort Tarsis sprint speed,
oh,
which is amazing.
Oh, I see. It looks a little faster than
I was faking it because this is walking, but this is running.
Yeah,
and then
that's nice. That's nice.
Oops, I missed. And
yeah, no. Back to the question. Yeah, I think
so fast. Absolutely. So one of the things we're going to show, I don't think this was in the demo, but it's asked a lot about reputation rewards. So we talked about how we added a reputation system. There are 3 factions, and by doing certain things, you earn favor with them. And as you unlock, or earn enough favor with them, there are certain different rewards. So I'm just showing an example for Arcanist Loyalty 3. You can see a bunch of materials available and a bunch of blueprints for crafting. And so just wanted to show that the information is available under challenges. It's one of the things people ask for, so that is that. There are a couple of settings people had asked for. I forget all of them, but some of them were... Okay, so we put in HDR mode for PC, so that's a thing that's available. I think this is for the 22nd though, not for the 15th. But all this is detailed in the Reddit post that I posted a couple weeks back, but just to show that it's there. We added, so motion blur, when you turn it off, actually turns off. Before it was also tied to post-processing. And we added a camera shake slider. So there are a few people who talked about motion sickness and stuff like that. So now there's a slider, 100% if you want the most immersive experience possible. And then you can turn it back from there as you see fit. That's not all the changes. There's some other stuff like field of view we're still investigating. We don't have that for the 15th or 22nd, but hot topic, we're on top of it. And then I've got the controller so you can't see, but we changed the tabbing left and right to Q and E from whatever letters they were before. Again, small quality of life stuff, but it's something super important to us that we're really listening to the community. And even the small things, like tabbing left and right, we think it's important to turn those around quickly, get them in the game so we kind of show that we're committed to listening, but also making the game better. But when you go to the start of Expedition, and this is for the 22nd of February, not for the 15th, but we got some feedback that the flow of start of Expedition was a bit confusing. This is awesome. So it's a lot easier to say, hey, like, what are the things I can play? You pick one, and then the rest of the options go from there. Grandmaster 1, 2, and 3, you guys had seen numbers in the demo. That's significantly harder. We also decided the numbers were misleading, like it hard to understand and give context. So we're actually going to take the numbers out of the strings. But for reference, they're significantly harder, not that you played it. But we've also going to put some guidance in there of like, hey, what kind of gear should you have going into this to each Grandmaster difficulty? And then also what kind of loot drops from there. So hopefully that makes that a bit easier to understand. One other note there, like a lot of feedback is around Grandmaster stuff, but we purposely made difficulties settings so that it's accessible for the game, right? So we want people to be able to come and play on easy and enjoy the whole experience, or push themselves to normal or hard. And if that's what you want to do, that's great. And then for the people who really want to challenge themselves, we have the extra 3 difficulties. So it's kind of up to you guys what you want to do. one thing you might note that Chad's doing here, so if you look at the compass at the top, there are the red arrows now on the edges. That's a new thing we added, a little quality of life improvement
awesome.
that shows that enemies are off screen, and it gives you.
That was
You're
the
going to
worst.
join the Ninja Mike GIF club of crashing on stream.
Yeah.
But the red arrows just show the enemies off screen, so instead of like doing a 360 to find stuff, you kind of get a better sense of if it's to the left or to the right, which is pretty cool.
The question, can you get blueprints and legendary quality?
So the question is, can you get blueprints at legendary quality? The answer is blueprints are quality agnostic. So once you unlock like an assault rifle, you can craft it at all the different rarities once you get high enough level by getting the correct materials. I think at launch, we'd have very few that can craft Masterwork or legendaries because they're different blueprints. So you'd have to actually get like a Masterwork or legendary blueprint. So we have a handful in the game, but not for everything. I don't think for everything. We might have changed that. But so we want you to be able to like actually go and discover the loot for yourself. But I do know like when we do combat balancing, the guys do craft a whole bunch of legendaries to get the perfect inscription rolls. So that's definitely a thing you can do. But I'm not sure exactly which ones you can or can't do. But there are definitely a bunch of legendary and masterwork crafting blueprints.
I'm making this up.
And if I get that wrong, we will clarify. Because these are now good questions that I'm surprised I don't know all the answers.
Some questions, and this is one of the things we're going to talk about. So balance improvement for Collosus. Have we changed him at all since the demo?
Yeah, so see that little combo action? No big
Yeah, I
deal.
did see it. That's nice.
Yeah, so kind of the feedback from the demo was, hey, the Colossus is awesome when you get all the shield and armor components, but beforehand it was kind of underpowered and people were having a tough time with it. And so what we wanted to do was smooth that experience out. So we made some changes to like basic health and shield scaling so that it wouldn't be so intensive to get to that point where it felt good. So that'll be live. There'll be some more tweaks to do there, but yeah, the idea was to not necessarily make him more powerful at the top end, just to make the journey like a little easier. So that was the idea.
Good.
Here's a hardware question. I don't know if is there going to be SLI support?
I know the answer. Do you remember it?
Yeah. Yes, there will be. Yeah, the plan for that is we're working on that for an update after launch.
And can you, just in case they can't hear me, what was that about?
Oh, sorry. Will we have SLI support? And the answer is yes. Yes, after launch.
Yeah. Because then we have DirectX 11 support on the 22nd, right?
Right.
Yeah. So.
I'm sorry. I meant after February 15th.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Good question.
Can you join a friend in free play without first forming a group in Tarsis?
Check this. I don't know. Did it work? Sure did. Yeah.
Nice.
The catch is there's got to be an empty spot, right? Like if free play is full, like we can't boot someone for you. So in that case, you'd have to go back to. Oh, nice. There's a turret here.
Yeah, good.
You'd have to go back to. Oops, wrong button. Back to Fort Tarsis. Okay, you can see as we get further away, it shows directionally where he is, as well as like a, what do you call that? Like a
Field of
pizza
view?
pie that shows like when I'm really far away, it's like a line, but when I get closer, look, when I get closer, assuming he's coming back.
I don't know what word you were looking for. You mean like a proximity sensor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So as we get closer, like that splits out to
Yeah.
kind of show that I'm close to him.
There were a lot of, from the demo weekends at least, there were a lot of people who had issues with holding onto echoes and problems with that problem. Did we talk about that?
Good point.
Yeah.
we can.
And also audio. We've made a lot of fixes to audio. So I know people were having problems with that during the demo week. And again, the legacy of that build versus where we are with launch, I think will address a lot of people's issues there.
Yeah, so with the echoes, we're making some changes. Actually, not 100% which build they're going in because we've had a couple bugs with it. But in the demo, it was like if someone didn't know they were carrying an echo, like there was no way to like get it from them or whatever. And so people could like just not know, or in like less cool situations, people would purposely be not super friendly and kind of just be mean and not turn them in. So what we've changed is the echoes basically have a 1 minute carry timer. So after a minute, they'll turn red, so you get a visual cue to it, and then you'll drop them, and they'll respawn at the place where you picked them up from. So you can't hide them or whatever. And that's the same with relics. So we had another issue in the stronghold where like someone would have a relic and disconnect or quit, and that was the end of it. So in this case, after a minute, they would respawn. A little chest action over here. So that's better. I can't really show that without getting echoes. Oh, hey. Oh yeah, we changed the emote menu.
Yeah.
So now they're all bound. You don't scroll. So it's kind of quicker access to all three instead of it being like having to quickly cycle through and through one. We posted a Reddit thread on PC controls. The two really big things were there was a bug that caused the symptom of negative acceleration. So long story short, if you moved too fast, like it would slow you down artificially, which made it hard for like snap aiming, which is super important, especially for things like heavy pistols, sniper rifles, that kind of stuff. So we fixed that. We didn't have negative acceleration. It was a bug that had the symptom. Whatever, it's a moot point. So that's fixed, which makes a big difference, I think, to that. Sometimes you're like, why does that aiming feel weird? And that was the answer, but...
Yeah, and there's some new options for it too, right? In the settings menu.
So there is, that's the second half. So,
yeah, okay.
Because that one was cool because we wouldn't have found it. Like, that sounds silly to say, but only because the community spent like the energy, like we've played it so much that sometimes you get too close to it.
Right.
So just to say thanks to community.
Yeah,
the second one was we did a pass on swim and flight. So there were a couple of issues there. Like we realized we were balancing to 1200 DPI, which I think, to 1800 DPI. And by default, most mice plug in at like 1200 DPI.
Yeah.
So like that was causing some problems. There was also the problem with lag. Like when you were trying to fly, I don't want a mouse, but when you're trying to fly, there was a lag. It kind of felt like you were being towed. And we realized that was the issue, so we changed that out. Now it's way more responsive. And then we also gave options to basically turn off all mouse acceleration on flight. So I kind of think mouse acceleration on flight, like for me, I quite like it, but I get that many people want the raw input, and so we've created some settings for that. And so we rebalanced our sensitivity settings, we broadened out how far the settings go, and all that kind of stuff.
And you mentioned snap to center option.
And then it will reset to center as well, which is really
which
cool.
I like, but
after delay. And people ask, can we have a toggle for that? It's like, yeah, that's probably a good point. Like, we don't have that, but if it's a problem, we could probably add it. So we were going to try to show it, but like I don't have a table, so I can't show the mouse. Take my word for it, maybe. Is that a thing that we're doing? I don't know.
I've played it.
Yeah, you think it's better?
Yeah, it's way better. Yeah,
I've been playing at home as well. It's way.
I mean, you made the comment earlier that I think is true. It's like we've been playing the game so much, although my play today didn't show it, that we've gotten used to the way the settings are for the game. And so I think a lot of us had gotten used to just jamming up sensitivities on the mouse to like maximum values, and then adjusted mentally to how much we were moving the mouse and the pad to how we were playing. And in reality, we'd conditioned ourselves in a way that behaviorally, I think, then when our players got in and played it, they're like, "Whoa, this needs some help." And thanks for the feedback. It's made it better.
So the last thing I want to talk about is something that Chad and I are super excited about. We worked a lot on this.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, this is all about launch, but we have this really cool live service. The launch is really just the beginning. There's so much more to come. And so we released, I don't know when it was, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, a week ago, the start of
Last
a live roadmap. And so
Right.
we just wanted to bring that up and just talk you guys through it. Like, we're not necessarily going to reveal more information, but we think we can offer more context to it, because kind of our goal for the roadmap was to really make sure people get that for us this is just the beginning, and that we're really committed to it and want to have a rich live service. And so I won't steal the thunder from what we're going to talk about, but if Lisa, we can swap out a game. I should probably put the controller down or I'll keep playing. Swap out a game and take us to the roadmap if we have it.
You know, I think it's. The best thing is you're going to live longer here than I did when I was playing, just standing still.
Well, AJ's out there killing everything for us.
Oh, yeah, fair.
You didn't.
fair.
You didn't.
Yeah,
have
I didn't have that benefit.
that,
Yeah, fair enough.
I mean, Nighthawk and Dragon are brothers forever.
Forever, exactly.
If you don't get the Nighthawk and Dragon joke, literally into Google type Nighthawk and Dragon.
Yes.
And then
And
picture
yeah.
one of them is me and one of them is Mike Gamble. That's
Right.
the joke.
So, so the context, this is one of the assets that we shared last week, talking about where we're going with this game for the long term. And, I think I'd take a step back and kind of introing this a little bit and say, through the shows that Ben and I have been doing and the interviews that we've done, one of the main questions we get is, from really, committed players, what's our commitment behind this game and what's our plans for the long term? And putting this out was a big moment for us, because we've been working on plans for post-launch for quite a while, and we've got people working on that now to help make an amazing experience for our players after launch. And so getting this out in a way that we could start to talk about what's going to come after launch was really an important event for us. And so this first slide or first image shows kind of a commitment to the long term for us in terms of the longevity for this game that we want to see. And there's not a lot of details on there, but I think what you'll see, and we have to be careful what we talk about and what we don't, but we think about Anthem's post-launch content in these sequence of acts, where an act represents this grouping of content and updates that we'll do that has a narrative theme to it that we think is going to be super compelling for the players. And this first one we're calling Echoes of Reality, and it leads up but the main takeaway I want everybody to have from this is just like we're in this for the long haul. We want this to be an amazing experience for many years, and I think if you look at the way that BioWare wants to evolve games like Anthem, it's exactly behind this kind of stuff.
Yep, cool. So we flip to the next one. Oh, it's us again. Hey, we're back, but maybe for a second. I can kind of just start talking to it as we maybe get it up. But yeah, like Chad said, it's super hard pre-launch to share the specifics of every update that we're going to do, because a big part of going live is looking at how players play the game and reacting to it. And so we call that quality of life. A lot of the things we've just spent the stream talking through is like we hear what players are saying and we fix it. And so often to do those things, you kind of have to push out some other plans. And so we wanted to kind of, to start with, pre-launch, talk in themes and speak to, and we can flip over whenever you're ready, speak to the kind of, what are the, within Act 1, like Chad said, it's a bag of things, and each act could be different. A bag. Well, you can't see my gestures anymore, which is probably good because they're silly, but a bag of things. And each act could be different, but in the first act, we wanted to have these three themes.
Right.
Evolving world, stronger together, and then the cataclysm. And without going into all the specifics, we wanted to share like what do those themes mean to us and like why are they important, we think, to Anthem the game. And so Evolving world is really the payoff that Anthem is this dangerous world. One of the strengths, I think, of the IP, the narrative, the world building is that this world is constantly evolving and it's constantly changing. And so we wanted to pay that off by saying, hey, when you come to Anthem, there's always a new experience waiting for you. And that might be, doing a stronghold or things you know about, but it can also take the form of things like events. And so, an example of an event.
Have we shown one of those yet?
Yeah, so an example of an event we showed in the demo.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we did.
Did you guys like that? I thought it was cool.
I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
And so it can be things like that where it's like, hey, maybe we spawn Titans in the world for a couple hours or a couple days, and Titans drop great loot, and we have a challenge associated with it, and then you can collect the loot and complete the challenge. And it's like a fun thing to log into. And other things will be more subtle, and I don't want to talk about them to spoil them, but there are small things that we think the players who play a lot will notice these things and say, what's this about? and sometimes there's cool rewards to that, and sometimes it leads you into something bigger.
Well, I think you've really touched on some nice things that we've talked about for quite a while during Anthem's development. And it's like, yeah, there's the evolving world piece, but it's also just this sense that there's always going to be something new to come back and discover and be part of this, both the community, but also the game as it evolves over time. Because hopefully what you're seeing and what we've been showing is this, really meaningful engagement that we want to hear feedback from you about what you like and what you don't like as you're playing the game. And we'll use that as we go forward with the live calendar to adjust things.
Yep. And so just to take that passionate story that we've delivered, like this, for us, will mainly take the form of events that you experience in free play. And we have a lot of cool things we're doing there, specifics aside, so we'll get to that. So that was Evolving World. The second one was Stronger Together. And so Stronger Together is really about, the freelancers done all this stuff, and I won't talk about the story, and their numbers are growing, and you're forming together to try to take on tougher and tougher challenges, and we need some social constructs for that. And so that's all about promoting social interaction and promoting social competition. So two things that are on that page are guilds and leaderboards. And so, guilds are a great way for like-minded people to get together and form like a social group where when you get on, you can look who's in your guild, invite people, and kind of group up and do activities and stuff like that.
And we understand how important that is for games of this style, for sure. It's been part of what we've done for a bunch of other games for years, and I think it's going to be a really big addition as part of that Stronger Together element to bring that together in a nice way.
Yeah, for sure. And then leaderboards, like I don't want to get into all the details today, but leaderboards is about social competition. So like if you're like ahead in the power curve and you're starting to beat some of the more difficult difficulty levels like Grandmaster 2 or 3, and you're starting to get like decked out in Masterwork and Legendaries, as that loot chase, you're reaching a very powerful level, you want to compete with your friends. So then it becomes more than just can I beat the content and can I get the best loot to can I do it better than my friends? And what does better than my friends mean? That's the stuff that we'll talk about later, as well as what content would have a leaderboard and how does that work? And is it like a yearly leaderboard or a weekly leaderboard? Like all those things we don't want to talk about right now, but that's some of the stuff we'll discuss. But just to kind of put that out there, that Stronger Together is about things like those two things, and that's not the end of the list of what we want to do. Right. It's about improving social interaction across the board. They might be quality of life improvements or some other things we have in mind, but just to give a sense of that theme. And then the third one is the Cataclysm. So the Cataclysm is really, and we've talked a bit about this in press and interviews and maybe even on a stream at some point, but it's really about aspirational content. And so, players often ask questions like, will you have raids? And like, we don't want to use that term raid, but like, what does a raid represent? It's aspirational content. It's the thing that you do with friends that you might schedule like Tuesday, Thursday nights to play together. And it's like the toughest challenge with the greatest rewards. And so for us, that comes in the form of a Cataclysm. And there's a lot of detail to share there and a lot of information that's not for today. But that's what it represents in the ecosystem. So we're kind of saying, as you come to Anthem and experience the world, you'll experience this evolving world, and events will spawn, and you'll have these unique experiences, and then you'll band together in groups and start to experience social competition. And then that journey takes you to the biggest part of the act, which is the Cataclysm, that's saying like, now that you've learned all these things and you form these friendships and you have this power, like now go take on a tougher challenge that's a bit more aspirational, but we still want it to be really accessible. So it'll be something that a group of 4 players can just go and play and have a good time. It's just that they might not get the same loot and rewards as a highly coordinated group of more what you would call, say, a hardcore players.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
again, none of that makes a lot of sense without all the details.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to tease enough to say there's some really cool stuff coming, and then as we get into the live service, we're fixing the issues that come up and we're improving the game. We can start sharing more details about, okay, hey, and now we're also adding new stuff. What is that new stuff? And we'll keep sharing that. But there are 3 themes for Act 1.
Right. The only thing, a few things I'd add to that just is like, if you look at 2, we can't share details on it, but if you look at the way the narrative will build over that, I think there's some cool things that the fans and players will see with that too. And I think all this ties together both thematically and systemically in a really nice set of updates that we're super excited about, because it we understand the importance of tying this all together in a way that improves the quality of life in the game, improves the experience overall, but also advances the story and does some things that we think are really cool and unique to the Anthem experience overall. One final point I'd add. This is all included with the game. So we've got questions about that too. This is not DLC or purchase content. This is part of what you get with the original, the purchase of the game.